going on, guys? Welcome back. It is July 12th. Sorry it's been about a month or so since I've posted anything, but my late spring, early summer has been incredibly busy. I coached my daughter's softball team for about a month and a half, and I bought a piece of property next to my house, so that took a couple weeks. And we had some friends up from Georgia. They were up for about a week, so we spent a lot of time with them. But just been incredibly busy, but things are finally starting to slow down now, and this is the first time I've been out in a while. I'm looking for pike primarily, bass secondarily. I'm about an hour in to about, I don't know, two and a half hours I'm going to fish this evening. So we're going to get started where I started about an hour ago. Fish knocked that right to the side. Didn't even feel it. I just saw it. I was about a foot under the surface and I saw it hit. So I'll try throwing a big spinner at it. Could have been a decent fish. Let's do a follow-up cast, see if we can get something to hit. Yep, there we go. Oh, that's a nice bass. That's probably the one that hit me. Ooh, I think it's a big smallmouth. I think that's a nice smallmouth off the big spinner. That's a really dark largemouth, I can't tell. This fish is digging. I can't tell if it's a smallmouth or just a really dark largemouth. Probably a smallmouth. Yeah, smallmouth. Big smallmouth. Hopefully we stay hooked here, buddy. Treble hooks everywhere. Got him. There we go. Nice smallmouth. Nice fat one. There we go. It's a nice healthy smallmouth. Hit off this big inline. He missed my white spinnerbait earlier. Hit that. I was only like 3 or 4 cranks in when he hit it. And kind of a strange location for a smallmouth to be hanging out. We're in, I don't know, probably 5-6 feet of water, and there's a bunch of weeds here. And that smallmouth was right in the middle of all of them. But I'll take it. First fish. I'm only about 5 minutes in, so it's a great fish to start with. And I don't know, maybe we'll throw the spinner for a little while. I was planning on sticking with the spinnerbait for the first half hour or so, but we'll throw this for 5 minutes and see if we can get any attention on it. This is actually pretty hot today. I left the house, it was about 85, 86 degrees. Right now it's probably all of that. Pretty much blazing sun. There are some passing clouds, but for the most part, it's pretty well bright and sunny. That is a pretty big beaver. I don't know if this little blowdown, if he's doing something with his blowdown. Kind of where he's heading. All right, buddy. I'm not sure where you're going. I didn't really bring many soft plastics, but this would be a heck of a tree to throw some soft plastics around. Just didn't happen to bring any tonight because I only had a couple hours of. Oh, there's a fish. As we're sitting there talking, I gotta try to get him pulling me away from that tree versus into it. Another smallmouth. There we go. Off the spinnerbait. Fish was kind of double hooked there. Not the biggest, but nice healthy smallmouth. And again, kind of a unorthodox place for that smallmouth to come out of. Came relatively close to shore in about 4 feet of water off of that big blowdown. So pulling up into one of my normally better coves. So I think what I'm going to do is probably throw the spinner. But I think what we're going to do is I normally get some pike out of this cove. So I'm going to throw this big inline and hope for the best. And what I'm doing is just slowly working my way down here. Hitting all these outer pads. I'm hoping there's not a ton of algae in here. Because if there is, the fish probably won't be in here. I do see some algae floating on the top, but I don't see quite as many attached to the weeds. Actually, I do see a few in there. Oh, there's a loon right there. It's a little tighter up in these weeds, so I'm going to throw the spinnerbait up here. I'll save the inline for a little more of the open territory. There's a lot of algae in here, unfortunately. I don't know how well you can see it. I know it's pretty dark, but big algae bloom right off to my right here. Looks like this cove is pretty well full of it, unfortunately. That's too bad. It's normally one of my go-to coves. Oh, there's fish. I have a bass, not sure what it is. First largemouth of the night. There we go, first largemouth of the night. Came right off the end of that tree. I normally get a pike up in this area, but Nice fat little bass. I mean, these bass I've been catching, they've been healthy. They've been sturdy fish, but I think the algae's got them thrown off a little bit. Normally I've caught a pike or two by now, but I haven't seen a pike all night. All right, well, here's one bass. I'll take it. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna see if I can find some algae-free coves. All right, I am making a little bit of a change. I'm getting off this weedy shoreline and I'm hopping over to this far shoreline. Just because there hasn't been a lot of action around the lily pads. There's just way too much algae in them to the point where I think it's choking off a lot of the oxygen. So I'm gonna head straight across to this other shoreline, and I think we'll stick with the big inline because there are some pike on this shoreline. So really that's kind of what I'm after. You know, I'm more or less looking for pike. Any bass are welcome, but I'd like to get some pike. There's a fish. That's probably a small pike would be my guess. Oh no, it's a nice bass. Another nice smallmouth off the big inline. Oh, came off right by the boat. Off that big 8-inch inline. It's amazing. I've been throwing this, you know, for at least half the time tonight, and I've only seen a bass. I've not seen a pike tonight. And I've actually had more bass on this than I have the spinnerbait, you know, when I've been throwing that. So sometimes you just never know. Oh, that was a fish. I don't know how it missed 6 trebles, but it did. So we're going to do a follow-up with the spinnerbait. And that hit was off of a submerged tree by the looks of it. Got some brush over there, so toss right over with the spinnerbait and see if we can get it up on a follow-up cast. There we go. There we go. There we go. In the brush. Another smallmouth. That's a little better. That may have been the first fish that hit me, but this one was behind the tree. The first hit I got was on my facing side of the tree. And this fish doesn't hook that well. They are pretty feisty tonight. Come on. Another beautiful smallmouth. He absolutely crushed this spinnerbait. I'll show you the tree. I think you should be able to see it okay. All right, so I just noticed my mic had fallen off, but that fish came off of this tree. You can see it coming off ashore. It comes out probably 20, 30 feet. You can see the tips poking out. The first hit I had was on my kayak side of the tree, and the fish I actually caught was on the back side, which is the side I'm on now. Could have been a different fish, could have been the same fish, but it's a nice smallmouth either way. I think I got the world's smallest fish on. Look at that. Just about the size of the actual spinnerbait. There we go. That's going to be a mean fish in a couple years. Fish has a really big attitude. Alright guys, I'm swapping to a big inline buzzbait. We're just after 7, so I've been fishing for just about an hour. And hoping to get a topwater bite going. Alright, there's normally a bass in here. Gotta be one. Gotta be a bass in here. Oh. That's a nice fish. That could be a pike. He's coming right towards me. Oh, I lost that fish. I lost that fish. Could not get a good hook set on it because he came right towards me. Oh, that was a nice fish. That was a nice fish. That was by far the best fish of the night. Just couldn't get a hook set. That's the fish we're looking for, is fish like that. Bummer. Alright, I'm going to put the buzzbait down for a couple minutes. I have been throwing that for about 10 minutes and only got that one big hit. Outside of that, nothing. So I'm going to throw a spinnerbait for a couple minutes. If I don't get anything off that, we'll go to the big inline. There's a fish. There's a fish. Looks like a bass. Off the spinnerbaits. Not a bad little chunk. Not a bad little bass. Second largemouth of the evening. For some reason, it's primarily been smallmouth, but that's a classic largemouth spot. Have a little trickle of a stream coming in. It's only, I don't know, maybe a foot or two deep in there. mucky bottom, bunch of grass. So that's a prime largemouth spot. And that fish came off of this rainbow trout colored spinnerbait. It's a 1/2 ounce spinnerbait with a number 5 Magnum willow blade on it. Oh, there's a fish. That feels decent. I think it's a big bass. That's a big bass. Stay hooked. Gotta get this fish out of the weeds. He hit that as soon as it hit the water. All right, by far the biggest bass of the night. I hope he stays pinned. Big largemouth. Haven't actually got a good look at it yet, but it's a big fish, big bass. Or at least it looked big. It's fighting big. Yeah, big fish. Not quite as big as I thought it was, but nice solid fish. There we go, biggest of the night. Smoked that spinnerbait. That thing was double hooked and triple hooked and hooked even better with a trailer hook. Come on, get out of there. Caught right on that bone that comes down. Come on, there we go. There we go, nice bass. Best one of the night. That's what we're looking for, bass like that. It's a nice solid healthy bass. I don't see any sores on it. I don't see any marks. Nice and healthy. That fish hit right off the edge of a weed line in probably 4 feet of water. As soon as this spinnerbait hit, that fish was on it. I actually thought it was a little bigger than it was. When that fish jumped, he looked like he was a pound or two bigger, but either way, that was a solid fish. All right, guys, I'm thinking we're gonna call it good here. Have about a 2-mile paddle back, and unfortunately it's gonna be against the wind. Have probably a 5-mile-an-hour wind that just picked up. We weren't supposed to get any storms, but we got some dark clouds all around me. So I certainly don't want to be 2 miles away from the launch if a storm comes up. But not a bad night overall. Did pretty well. Picked up a bunch of bass, a couple decent ones. Couldn't buy a pike tonight. I couldn't find a pike. I possibly had one hit off the buzzbait about midway through this evening, but I weren't able to confirm if it was or wasn't a pike. But like I said earlier, I'm kind of freed up now, so I'm hoping to get back to posting a video or two a week. I'm going to try to get out this weekend. It's Thursday right now, so I'm hoping to get out this weekend. But stay tuned, and we'll see you guys soon.